The day my husband told me he was leaving, it was raining. Not the gentle kind that makes everything smell fresh and new, but the angry sort that floods gutters and drowns flowers. I remember because I'd just finished planting our spring garden the weekend before. My name is Lillian, and 5 years ago I thought I had everything figured out. Great marriage, successful career in tech, and a beautiful home we'd spent years making perfect. Then Mike walked in that Tuesday evening, soaked from the storm, and destroyed it all with 8 words. Virginia's pregnant. The baby is mine. I'm leaving. I laughed at first, thinking it was some twisted joke, but Mike just stood there, water dripping from his jacket onto our imported hardwood floors. The floors I'd insisted on because he loved the rich mahogany color. What do you mean, Virginia? Your ex from college? My voice sounded strange, distant. You haven't seen her in years. He shifted uncomfortably. We ran into each other at David's networking event 3 months ago. One thing led to another. 3 months? The room started spinning. You've been lying to me for 3 months? Lil, please understand. She needs me, the baby. I needed you. I grabbed the nearest thing, a crystal vase he'd given me for our anniversary, and hurled it against the wall. The crash was satisfying, but not enough. We were trying for a baby, all those fertility appointments, the medications, the disappointments, while you were getting your ex pregnant. Mike stepped toward me, hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. I didn't plan this. It just happened. Virginia's in a tough spot. Get out. The words came out eerily calm. We need to talk about this rationally. Rationally? I laughed, the sound bordering on hysteria. You want rational? Here's rational. You have 30 minutes to pack a bag and leave. After that, I'm calling the police. He tried arguing, but something in my eyes must have scared him. He disappeared upstairs, and I heard drawers opening and closing. I stood in our kitchen, gripping the marble counter so hard my knuckles turned white, listening to my husband pack up our marriage. 28 minutes later, he came down with a duffel bag. I'll send for the rest later. Lil, I'm sorry it ended this way. I really am. Did you ever love me? The question slipped out before I could stop it. He paused at the door, rain still pounding outside. Of course I did. But Virginia, she needs me in a way you never did. You're so independent, so strong. Sometimes it felt like you didn't need me at all. The door closed behind him with a soft click that felt louder than any slam could have been. I spent that night destroying everything that reminded me of him: photos, gifts, even that stupid coffee maker he'd insisted on buying because it made better crema. By morning, our pristine house looked like a war zone, and I had 3 missed calls from Christine, my best friend and lawyer. He did what? Christine's voice crackled through my phone speaker. That bastard, I'm coming over. No, I said, surprising myself with how steady I sounded. I need you to do something else for me. Remember that startup idea I told you about? The one Mike said was too risky? The AI driven personal security platform? Yeah, what about it? I'm doing it today. Can you draw up the incorporation papers? There was a pause. Lil, you're emotional right now. Maybe wait a few. No waiting. He thinks I'm too independent? Too strong? Fine. I'll show him strong. 5 years later, I'm sitting in my corner office on the 40th floor of Crawford Tech's headquarters, watching another storm roll in. The company I built from spite and heartbreak now employs over 500 people and is valued at nearly $1 billion. My assistant's voice crackles over the intercom, interrupting my thoughts. Ms. Crawford, there's a man here to see you, says he knows you. A pause. He has a child with him. I feel my heart stop, then restart with a vengeance. Send them in, Chelsea. Time for karma to collect its due. The man who walked into my office wasn't the Mike I remembered. Gone was the crisp suit, the confident stride, the perfectly styled hair. This Mike wore wrinkled khakis and a faded polo shirt that had seen better days. His shoes were scuffed and dark circles shadowed his eyes, but it was the little girl clutching his hand that caught my attention. She couldn't have been more than 4, with wild dark curls and eyes that darted curiously around my office. Lillian, Mike's voice cracked, you look successful. I remained seated, one manicured finger tapping my desk. That's what happens when you work hard instead of running away from your responsibilities. The little girl tugged on Mike's hand. Daddy, is this the lady from the pictures? My heart clenched. Pictures? He'd kept pictures of me? Yes, sweetheart, this is Lillian. He cleared his throat. Zaylee, why don't you draw something while Daddy talks to the nice lady? Chelsea appeared with crayons and paper, leading Zaylee to the conference table near the window. I waited until the child was settled before speaking. You have exactly 3 minutes to explain why you're here. Mike ran a hand through his unkempt hair. Virginia left us 6 months ago. Took off with some tech investor she met at a charity gala. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? I smiled sweetly. Please, Lil, we've been living out of my car. I lost everything when the market crashed. The startup David and I launched, it failed spectacularly. I leaned forward. And this is my problem because you're the only person I know who's succeeded, who built something real. He glanced at Zaylee. She deserves better than this, than me. Should have thought about that before you knocked up your ex while married to me. Mike flinched. I deserve that. I deserve worse, but Zaylee doesn't. I stood up, walking to the window. Zaylee was humming softly while coloring, completely oblivious to the tension in the room. She looked nothing like Virginia, thank God. What exactly do you want from me, Mike? A job, any job. I'll start at the bottom, work maintenance, security, anything. I turned back to him, laughing. You want to work for me after what you did? I'm desperate, Lil. His voice broke. We slept in a Walmart parking lot last night. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Christine. Excuse me, I said, stepping away. Christine, perfect timing. Lil, you need to hear this. I did some digging after Chelsea texted about Mike showing up. It's worse than he's letting on. How so? He and David didn't just fail, they committed fraud, used investor money for personal expenses. There are at least 3 lawsuits pending. I watched Mike fidget near my desk. Anything else? Yeah, remember those shares you couldn't account for during the first round of funding? Guess who tried to sell them 6 months ago? My blood ran cold. Those shares had nearly tanked in crucial investment round. Send me everything. I hung up and walked back to Mike, fury simmering beneath my professional smile. Here's what's going to happen, I said quietly. You're going to take Zaylee and check into the Marriott downtown. Rooms on me for 3 days. Use them to figure out your next move because it won't involve my company. Lil, please. I'm not finished. I handed him a hotel key card I kept for business associates. If you're still in town after 3 days, I'll have security remove you. And Mike? I stepped closer, dropping my voice. Try to sell any more of my company's shares, and jail will look luxurious compared to your car. The color drained from his face. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course you don't. I walked to the conference table. Zaylee, would you like to see your new room? It has a pool. Her face lit up. A pool? Daddy, can we? Mike gathered their things, defeat evident in every movement. At the door, he paused. I really am sorry, Lil, for everything. I didn't respond, watching them leave before calling Christine back. Get me everything you can on Virginia, and I mean everything. Lil, Christine warned, what are you planning? I smiled, watching Mike and Zaylee through my office windows as they walked to the elevator. Justice, Christine, long overdue justice. You're playing with fire, Lillian. Kai set down his wine glass, concern etched across his handsome face. We were having dinner at his penthouse, a ritual we'd maintained since meeting at a venture capital conference last year. I'm not playing anything, I replied, cutting into my steak. I'm gathering information. You're plotting revenge. He reached across the table, covering my hand with his. You've worked too hard to let Mike drag you back into his mess. I pulled my hand away. Did you know he tried to sell company shares he shouldn't have had? Shares that could have tanked us during our Series B funding? All the more reason to let legal handle it and stay far away. My phone buzzed, a text from Chelsea. Mike's asking for a meeting. Says he has information you need to hear. I smiled, exactly as planned. After leaving them at the hotel, I'd had Samantha leak strategic rumors to the press about a potential hostile takeover. Mike, desperate and broke, would bite at any chance to prove his worth. I have to go, I told Kai, standing up. He sighed. Just be careful. Revenge has a way of burning both sides. An hour later, I sat across from Mike in a quiet coffee shop. He'd showered and borrowed a clean shirt from somewhere, but his eyes still held that haunted look. Thanks for meeting me, he said. I've been thinking about those shares you mentioned. Save it. I slid a folder across the table. These are records showing exactly how you and David embezzled startup capital from my personal accounts before you left. The same money you used to start your failed company with Virginia's brother. His face went pale. How did you? I have excellent lawyers and a very long memory. I leaned forward. Now, you're going to tell me everything, starting with how long you and Virginia planned this. It wasn't like that. Don't lie to me. Not again. He slumped in his chair. David introduced us at that networking event, said Virginia needed investors for her brother's startup. One meeting led to another, and you decided to steal from your wife to fund your mistress's family. Virginia was different, he defended weakly. She needed me. You were always so self sufficient. I stood up abruptly. Stay here. Don't move. Walking outside, I made a call. 20 minutes later, a woman with perfectly styled blonde hair walked into the coffee shop. Mike's face turned ashen. Virginia? She ignored him, sliding into the seat across from me. Thanks for the plane ticket. First class was a nice touch. Mike looked between us, confused. What's going on? Tell him, Virginia. Tell him what you told me during our lovely chat yesterday. Virginia examined her manicure. You were so easy to manipulate, Mike. David said you had a thing for damsels in distress. She laughed coldly. All I had to do was play vulnerable and praise your big ideas. The pregnancy was just insurance. You planned it? Mike's voice cracked. Of course we did. David needed Lillian's startup capital, and you were our way in. She turned to me. He said being with you was like living in a cage. He needed someone fragile enough to need him. That's why he picked me. I watched Mike's world crumble for the second time in 5 years, but this time I felt no satisfaction, only a hollow vindication. Why are you doing this? He whispered. Because you didn't just break my heart, Mike. You tried to break my future. The company you tried to sabotage, it employs hundreds of people. Families depend on it. On me. Virginia stood up. My car's waiting. Thanks for the closure, Lillian. And Mike? She smiled sweetly. The trust fund you set up for Zaylee? I emptied it last month. Consider it severance pay. As she walked out, Mike put his head in his hands. What happens now? I gathered my things. Now? Now you get to experience what it feels like to have everything you believed in turn out to be a lie. Welcome to my world, Mike. I hope you enjoy your stay. Daddy says you used to be his wife, Zaylee announced, her small hands wrapped around a cup of hot chocolate. We sat in the corporate apartment I'd arranged for them, a temporary solution that served my purposes better than a hotel. I replied, watching her carefully blow on the steaming drink. A long time ago. Before me? Yes, before you. I found myself smiling despite everything. This child had none of her parents' guile. Mike walked in from the bedroom, looking marginally better after a few days of proper rest. Zaylee, time for your bath. Can Lillian tell me a story first? The request caught us both off guard. Mike's face tightened, but he nodded. One story, then bath. After tucking her in with a tale about a princess who built her own castle, I found Mike in the living room, staring out the window. She likes you, he said quietly. She never took to Virginia like this. Don't. I held up a hand. Don't try to manipulate me through your daughter. I'm not. I'm just. He turned to face me. Why are you helping us? After everything you know now? I sat down, maintaining professional distance. Because unlike you, I understand responsibility. You're here because I need to keep you close while my legal team builds their case. Against David? Against all of you. I pulled out my tablet, sliding it across the coffee table. Sign these. He picked it up, scanning the documents. A consulting contract? You're going to work for me, Mike. Every day, you'll come to the office, sit in meetings, and help us identify every fraudulent transaction you and David made. And if I refuse, then you can explain to Zaylee why you're living in your car again. I stood up. The position comes with health care. She needs her vaccinations updated. His hand trembled as he signed. You've thought of everything. I learned from the best. I took the tablet back. Start tomorrow 9 a.m. sharp. Chelsea will show you around. As I reached the door, his voice stopped me. I did love you, Lil. Maybe not the right way, but I did. I didn't turn around. Love without respect isn't love, Mike. It's just another form of control. The next few weeks fell into a strange rhythm. Mike came to work, documented his past schemes, while I watched from my office as he slowly unraveled. Samantha fed careful leaks to the press about corporate fraud investigations, making David nervous enough to start making mistakes. But it was Zaley who complicated everything. Look what I drew! She burst into my office one afternoon, waving a paper. It's you and me and Daddy at the park. I studied the crayon drawing. Three stick figures, the tallest wearing what looked like my red power suit. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Can we go to a real park, please? Before I could answer, Christine walked in, stopping short at the sight of Zaylee. Lil, we need to talk. Now. Why don't you show Chelsea your drawing? I suggested. Once Zaylee left, Christine threw a file on my desk. Remember that startup capital Mike stole? It wasn't just your personal accounts. He accessed your trust fund, the one your parents left you. My stomach dropped. That's impossible. Those accounts were sealed until my 30th birthday. David had connections at the bank. They falsified documents, made it look like you authorized the transfer. She leaned forward. This is bigger than revenge now, Lil. This is criminal fraud. I glanced out my office window. Zaylee was showing her drawing to Chelsea, bouncing with excitement. Beyond her, Mike sat at his temporary desk, looking more defeated each day. What do you recommend? We take this to the FBI today. My phone buzzed, a text from Kai. Dinner tonight? We need to talk about where this is heading. Through the glass, Zaylee caught my eye and waved. I waved back, feeling something crack in my carefully constructed vengeance. Give me 24 hours, I told Christine. I need to figure out what to do about Zaylee first. The girl isn't your responsibility. No, I agreed, watching her laugh at something Chelsea said. But she's the only innocent one in all of this. The private dining room at LeBlanc hummed with expensive tension. I'd arranged this dinner carefully, placing David at one end of the table, Mike at the other, with myself commanding the center. The crystal glasses caught the light like ice, matching the atmosphere perfectly. This is unexpected, David said, swirling his wine. He'd aged since I'd last seen him, gray threading through his temples. A reconciliation dinner? Something like that. I smiled, nodding to Chelsea, who stood by the door. She pressed a button, and the room's privacy locks clicked into place. Mike shifted uncomfortably. Lil, what's going on? I took out a small remote and pressed play. The restaurant's hidden speakers crackled to life with David's voice from 5 years ago. Just get her to sign these transfer papers. Virginia's brother needs the capital now, and Lillian's trust fund is our best shot. David's face went slack. Mike's wine glass froze halfway to his mouth. That's not all, I continued, pressing another button. This time it was Mike's voice. She'll never check the trust until she's 30. By then, we'll have turned it into millions. You recorded us? David's voice shook with rage. No, you recorded yourselves. That fancy office you set up, the one where you planned how to steal my inheritance. I leaned forward. I owned the building. Every room was wired for security. Mike started to stand. This is entrapment. Sit down. My voice could have frozen hell. We haven't gotten to the best part yet. The next recording was Virginia, from just last week. David promised me a cut if I could get Mike to leave you, said you were too smart, would catch on to their plans eventually. The pregnancy was his idea, said it would give Mike a reason to access your accounts without suspicion. David slammed his fist on the table. You can't prove any of this would stand up in court. Actually, Christine said, stepping out from the shadows, we can. The FBI has been building a case for months. They're just waiting for my signal. Mike's face had gone gray. The consulting job? You were gathering evidence? You always said I was too independent, too strong. I stood up, smoothing my dress. You were right. Strong enough to take you both down. Think about Zaylee, Mike pleaded. She needs me. You should have thought about her before you used her as a pawn. I picked up my purse. The FBI will be here in 10 minutes. I suggest you use that time to decide who you're going to throw under the bus first. David lunged for the door, but Chelsea blocked his path. The locks are engaged, sir. Please remain seated. Lillian, Mike called out as I walked away. Please, for old time's sake. I turned back one last time. Old times? Like when you and David stole my parents' last gift to me? Or when you used my love as a cover for fraud? I laughed bitterly. The old times are exactly why this is happening. Mama? A small voice broke through the tension. Zaylee stood in the doorway of the private room next door where Chelsea had been watching her. The word hit me like a physical blow. Mike's face crumpled. Sweet pea, Lillian's not, he started. Time to go, Zaylee. I cut him off, holding out my hand. Chelsea's going to take you to get ice cream while the grown ups finish talking. She skipped over, taking my hand trustingly. Can I have sprinkles? All the sprinkles you want. I looked back at Mike and David. Gentlemen, I believe you can hear the sirens now. I'd say it's been a pleasure, but we all know that would be a lie. As Chelsea led Zaylee away, I heard David's angry whisper, You let your ex wife destroy us because you couldn't keep your mouth shut? Mike's response was quiet, defeated. No, David. She destroyed us because we deserved it. I walked out of the restaurant just as the FBI vehicles pulled up, their lights painting the night in red and blue. My phone buzzed. A text from Kai. Is it done? I watched the agents approach the restaurant, thinking of Zaylee's innocent face, of Mike's betrayal, of justice finally served. It's done, I typed back, but I don't feel as satisfied as I thought I would. His response came quickly. That's because revenge doesn't heal wounds, Lil. It just makes new ones. Looking up at the night sky, I wondered if he was right. The key still fit our old apartment lock. 5 years, and the building manager had never changed it. I stood in the empty living room, dust motes dancing in the afternoon light, wondering why I'd come back here. You're torturing yourself, Kai said behind me. He'd insisted on coming when I told him where I was going. Maybe. I walked to the kitchen, running my hand along the counter where I'd stood that rainy night. But I need to face this place, to really end it. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. The message made my blood run cold. Meeting tonight, just us, for her sake. M. He's out on bail already? Cassie read over my shoulder. Don't go, Lil. It's not safe. I have to. I turned to face him. This needs to end, one way or another. Then I'm coming with you. No. I touched his cheek. This is between me and Mike. The cafe was nearly empty when I arrived at midnight. Mike sat in a corner booth, but he wasn't alone. Virginia sat beside him, looking as polished as ever, despite everything. Really? I said, sliding into the seat across from them. An ambush? We need to talk, Virginia said, her voice tight, about what you've done to us. What I've done? I laughed. That's rich coming from you two. You orchestrated everything, Mike accused. The failed investments, the lost contracts, Virginia's company collapsing. It was all you. I stirred my coffee slowly. Prove it. We don't need to prove it. Virginia leaned forward. We know. Just like we know you've been manipulating Zaylee, turning her against me. Turning her against you? My voice could have cut glass. You abandoned her, left her to sleep in a car while you ran off with your latest meal ticket. I was escaping an abusive situation. No, I set down my spoon. You were running from the consequences of your actions, just like you both always do. Mike's face darkened. You think you're so perfect, don't you? Sitting in your tower, playing God with people's lives? Perfect. No, but at least I built something real. What did you build, Mike? A pyramid scheme of lies that finally collapsed? We'll tell everyone, Virginia threatened, about how you manipulated the market, used inside information. Go ahead. I pulled out my phone, playing a recording, Virginia's voice discussing their original plan to steal my inheritance. I have hundreds of hours like this. Every scheme, every plot, every betrayal. Release one thing about me and I'll bury you both. Mike slumped back. What do you want from us? Want? I already have what I want. David's singing like a bird to the FBI. Your fraud is exposed. Virginia's reputation is in tatters. I stood up. I didn't orchestrate your downfalls. I just stopped protecting you from the consequences of your own actions. And Zaylee? Virginia's voice cracked. What about her? She's with foster parents who actually care about her welfare, unlike either of you. As I turned to leave, Mike grabbed my wrist. You're not walking away this time, Lil. Not until Kai materialized from nowhere, breaking Mike's grip. She said she's done. You followed me? I asked, surprised. Of course I did. He kept himself between me and Mike. Someone had to watch your back. Mike rubbed his wrist, glaring. This isn't over. Actually, it is. I pulled out one final envelope. These are screenshots of your recent messages plotting to use Zaylee in a custody battle against me. The family court judge will be very interested in them. Virginia started crying, but I knew better than to trust her tears now. Goodbye, Mike. Virginia. I took Kai's arm. Don't contact me again. Either of you. Outside, the night air felt clean, fresh. Kai squeezed my hand. You okay? I looked back at the cafe window, at the two broken people inside who had once meant everything to me. No, I admitted, but I will be. My phone lit up with a text from Chelsea. Zaylee's foster mom called. She's asking for you. Want to cancel dinner? Kai asked. I thought about Zaylee's innocent smile, about fresh starts and second chances. No, I said finally. Let's have dinner. Then, tomorrow maybe we can take Zaylee to that park she keeps talking about. For the first time in weeks, I felt lighter. Not healed, not yet, but ready to try. The prosecution calls Virginia Reynolds to the stand. The courtroom fell silent as Virginia walked to the witness box. Her designer outfit couldn't hide her nervous energy. I sat between Christine and Kai, watching the woman who had helped destroy my marriage prepare to testify. Ms. Reynolds, the prosecutor began, please tell the court about your relationship with David Hughes and Michael Hall. Virginia glanced at Mike, who sat with his attorney, then at David, who refused to meet her eyes. David approached me at a charity event, said he needed my help with an investment opportunity. And what did this opportunity involve? Accessing Lillian's trust fund. Virginia's voice shook. David said she was too controlling, that Mike needed help breaking free. He promised us both a percentage if we could get Mike legal access to the accounts. Mike's attorney stood. Objection! Hearsay! Your Honor, this witness was a direct participant in the conspiracy. Overruled. Continue. The prosecutor held up a document. Is this the email where David outlined the plan to use your pregnancy as leverage? Virginia nodded. Yes. He said Mike would need a compelling reason to access the accounts early. A baby would create urgency. I felt Kai's hand tighten around mine as Mike jumped up. She's lying. The pregnancy wasn't planned. Mr. Hall, sit down or you'll be held in contempt, the judge warned. The prosecutor continued. And the money? What happened to it? David invested it in shell companies. When those failed, he used it to cover personal expenses houses, cars, trips. Virginia wiped a tear. I got a cut to keep quiet. Mike's face had gone ashen. His attorney whispered urgently in his ear. Your Honor. Mike's attorney stood. My client would like to change his plea. The courtroom erupted in whispers. David's face turned purple with rage. You weak bastard! David shouted at Mike. After everything I did for you! Order! The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Mr. Hughes, control yourself. As the bailiffs restrained David, Mike's attorney approached the bench. My client wishes to plead guilty to all charges and offers his full cooperation. Christine squeezed my arm. We won, Lil, but it didn't feel like winning. Not when I saw Zaylee's foster mother hurry her out of the courtroom, shielding her from her father's public disgrace. The next hour was a blur of legal proceedings. Mike accepted a 6-year sentence in exchange for his testimony against David. Virginia received immunity for her cooperation. David, facing the weight of everyone's testimony, sat in stunned silence as his empire crumbled. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Ms. Crawford, how does it feel to see justice served? Will Crawford Tech recover the stolen funds? Any comment on Michael Hall's plea deal? I faced the cameras, Kai and Christine flanking me. Justice isn't about revenge, it's about truth. Today, the truth finally came to light. As the reporters dispersed, I saw Virginia standing alone by a pillar. Why did you really testify? I asked her. She looked tired, stripped of her usual polish. Because you were right. I've been running from consequences my whole life. It was time to stop. And Zaylee? I'm not mother material. Never was. She handed me an envelope. This is my formal surrender of any parental rights. Maybe you'll do better by her than I did. Before I could respond, she walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Christine appeared with more papers. Mike's signing away his rights too. With his sentence, he says Zaylee deserves a chance at a real family. I watched Zaylee playing on the courthouse steps with her foster mother, her dark curls bouncing in the sunlight. What are you thinking? Kai asked softly. I'm thinking about second chances, about healing. I turned to Christine. How long would adoption proceedings take? She smiled. I'll start the paperwork today. My phone buzzed. A message from Mike. I know I have no right to ask, but please, take care of her. Be the parent I couldn't be. Kai read the message over my shoulder. Are you sure about this? I watched Zaylee laugh, her joy untouched by the day's heavy proceedings. Yes, I said finally. Some things are worth more than revenge. And Mike? David? They'll face their consequences. But Zaylee? I smiled as she waved at me. She's my new beginning.